Welcome to another episode of Dream Big with Zhanna, inspiring you to reignite, refire, and refuel your life. And today is actually the second time or the second episode with this brilliant, amazing soul that lives among us on this planet. Her name is Nancy Mueller, and you can see her on the screen. Nancy, welcome to the show.
Hi, Zhanna. Thank you for having me.
Well, thank you for showing up again and and for agreeing to be on the show, because it was a pleasure to have the first conversation with you. And if you guys haven't watched it, you can find it on YouTube. If you just type in my name, Zhanna Shpits, and you will search for Dream Big with Zhanna and Nancy Mueller. It's going to be there. And for those of you who are watching us for the first time and don't know a lot about this amazing soul, you are up for a great treat. Let me officially introduce Nancy to you. So the official piece, I will read it. Nancy Mueller is an empowerment sensei for women. Nancy believes the world needs more empowered women in business, and that women owe it to themselves to release the emotions surrounding past experiences that are standing between them and their ability to rise to the top of their professions. So that's kind of the official piece of the bio, but Nancy is so much more than that. She is the source of inspiration for a lot of people through her books. She has 3 published books, and we will tell them the titles later. And well, just without further ado, I just want to say it's a pleasure to have you here for the second time to talk about beyond your philosophy and your beliefs, beyond the Me Too movement. If you could just throw some light or pull up the curtain behind what the movement is all about, because not everybody is familiar with it, but it's literally called Me Too. Me, T-O-O. Yeah. So what is it, Nancy?
Well, actually, it's a movement. It was a hashtag created by Zhanna Burke years ago to bring awareness to women who were being abused sexually or harassed in the workplace. And last year, when the big Harvey Weinstein thing happened in Hollywood, Alyssa Milano took that Me Too hashtag and she placed it on some of the postings that she was doing, and it just caught like wildfire. So now Zhanna Burke is once again in the mainstream media, and her movement is really bringing an awakening to women about speaking out and sharing your experience. One of the things, though, to think about is whenever we say we have a movement, that means, someone is wanting you to follow someone else. And what I'm talking about when I say Beyond Me Too, I'm actually encouraging women to take their Me Too experience and ask themselves, okay, so what do you want to do with this? What has happened in your life that you are now bringing to light, or maybe you've brought it to light in the past, and where are you with it? Are you moving past it? Have you put it behind you? Does it still bother you? Does it hold you back? Is there a lot of really heavy energy around it? What are you doing about it? What do you want to do about it? And where do you want to go from here? Because once we speak up, once we say, this happened, now we have another choice. First it was a choice, speak up, don't speak up. Then when you say, okay, I choose to speak up, now that you speak up, what do you want to do with that? Do you feel like a victim, like someone owes you something? Are you in vengeance mode? Do you want to get back at someone? Or are you moving past it and you're ready to grow spiritually beyond your experience? Because anyone that makes you angry owns a piece of you. So if you're reliving the experience over and over and over, and it's bringing up a negative mindset, causing you sadness, grief, anger, whatever those negative emotions are that you're dealing with the most, it's still holding you down. So we want to encourage women to think about, what do you want to do to move past it? What is your ultimate goal? How would you like to put this behind you? And one of the questions that I get asked a lot is about forgiveness. Women say, you know, I'm supposed to forgive. And here's what I would like to share with you. If you catch nothing else from what I'm going to say today, I want you to really think about what forgiveness means. Because forgiveness doesn't mean that you have to look at the perpetrator or the person that created this event in your life and forgive that person. Forgiveness is about forgiveness of self. When are you going to forgive yourself so that you can let go and stop reliving the horror, stop reliving the event, the experience, the trauma, the abuse, the frustration, the sadness, the depression, the angst, the anger? When you can get to a point where you let go of that, just forgive yourself for as long as you needed to hold on to that, that's when you start to evolve spiritually.
And it's brilliantly said. Forgiveness, the best definition of forgiveness I found through Wayne Dyer, but it's actually it just traces back to Mark Twain, who said forgiveness is the fragrance that the violet sheds on the heel that crushed it. So from the heel that crushed it. So it's easier said, and I'm totally with you 100%. We need to hear those messages. How do you do it? It's easier said than done. Do you have any specific technique? Because people think forgiveness, like it's been holding them back for the entire life, and a lot of them think it's a long process and they can never get into that. Like how so? In your personal story, maybe if you could share, how long
Sure.
did it take you? Yeah, does it have to take a long time to forgive yourself?
Well, I think the answer to that is no, it doesn't have to take a long time. But again, I always like to ask three questions, to share three questions. When you're going through something and you're trying to move past it, to put it behind you, there are three questions you can ask yourself. What feeling or belief can I let go of right now? What feeling or belief will I let go of right now? And what feeling or belief do I need to hold on to for just a little bit longer? Because so many of us want to move past the hurt, the anger, the experience. We want it to stop nagging us, but we don't know how. So if we're still in that stage where we need to hold on to it for a little bit longer, because essentially that's what we're doing. We're learning something. It's our soul's journey. Our soul is evolving. That's what we all came here to do, to evolve and get back to that bright light, that natural love and spirit and source light. That's what we came from. We come here, we experience, and that's our end goal, to go back to that. So as we are going back to that, we often have to have these experiences so that we can move through a specific feeling and deal with that as part of our karma and put it behind us. So when you are asking yourself these three questions, just give yourself permission to be wherever you are. Because if you're saying, I can do this, yes, you absolutely can. That doesn't mean you will. I will do this. Yes, that's wonderful. When will you do it? Or no, I need to stay in this a little bit longer. Because sometimes we have to go through it. We have to go over it. We have to figure it out. We have to just be in that minutia of thought. And whatever stage you're in, that's where you need to be for as long as you need to be there. It's just like, when you lose a loved one, there's no time limit on grief. Nobody can say to you, you should be over that by now. A woman who gets divorced and years later it's still really haunting her and she's having challenges rebuilding her life, and her friends are saying, you should be over that now. You should be dating. You should be. No, it's not up to anyone else to say how long it should take us to get through anything. So that's why I say give yourself permission to be where you are and be open to what you can learn to move through wherever you are. Now, for me, My Me Too experience, I've had several. Um, and so I was born into a family where there was a lot of mental abuse, physical abuse, emotional abuse that escalated to sexual abuse by the age of 12. So as a child, I was told over and over and over that I was worthless, that I would never amount to anything. Don't even try because you're never going to amount to anything. So a great deal of my childhood was spent just feeling like I didn't belong, like I didn't know why I was here, that I was a horrible person. Why am I even here? And that I was probably going to burn in hell. So, my life was just horrible. And I really didn't understand the whole religious dogma about that I was a sinner, that I was a wrongdoer, that I needed to ask for forgiveness, that I had to go in front of the church every week and confess my sins and say that I'm a horrible person. And I couldn't figure out, like, what did I do? Why am I so horrible? Because it's certainly overflowing into my family life. And I just didn't understand what it was that I did. And this thing about forgiveness and, honoring your father and your mother, I just couldn't get it through my head because I'm supposed to go to church every week and I'm supposed to be this wonderful person, but I'm not. I'm not this wonderful person. That's what I'm being told over and over and over and over. So when you really want help, and I was really asking God all the time, please help me. Why doesn't somebody help me? What is going on? And the people that I needed the help from the most were the people that were supposed to be there to protect me. So I've just felt like I didn't have any wiggle room, nowhere to go. What was I supposed to do? And I'm the oldest of 5 siblings. There's 5 of us. So, I was a caregiver. I started being the caregiver for my siblings very early on, the age of 9 or 10. And I just really felt that this is what I'm supposed to be doing, just taking care of my siblings and protecting them, but yet all of the time felt unprotected myself. Like no one is there to take care of me. No one is there to protect me. Well, I was raised in the era of Bruce Lee, and so he was my hero growing up. And I thought, wow, if I could do that, if I could fight like Bruce Lee, no one would ever touch me again. No one would ever lay a hand on me. Um, I didn't, as children, we don't really understand the whole uh, blacks and white or even shades of gray of sexual abuse. And so when something is happening to you and you just think that, oh, this is another way of punishment, it's not so much a sexual experience as just another means of punishment. My father had a fiberglass fishing rod that he used to use on me all the time. And then he would take all my clothes off of me and use it on me in front of my family. And it was a way of degrading me. And I definitely felt degraded, but I thought it was that I did something wrong. I thought and I would rack my brain trying to think, like, what did I do wrong today? What did I do that I shouldn't have done? Why is he so angry at me? Well, it wasn't until I was older that I actually understood that, the kind of the just this was part of his sexual just the way that he needed to have what he needed to have, and so he was using me for that. But as children, we don't understand. We're innocent, and it would be nice if a lot of children could stay innocent. But you can understand that when violence is all you think that violence is the answer. So if he were to physically harm me and I have the strength to physically take care of myself or harm him back, that would be the answer. So we don't know what we don't know. So as a child growing up, I felt like that was the answer, to learn to fight, to learn how to protect myself. And it wasn't until I was in my 30s that I did start studying martial arts as a student, competitor, and then teacher in the martial arts. And my first business was called WAVE, Women Against Violent Encounters, because being in the martial arts, studying martial arts, for me, it was just this awakening, this awareness, this, wow, I could actually physically take care of myself. But it wasn't just the physical part, it was the philosophies behind it. So when you're studying for your black belt, it's more than just learning moves and how to jump around and hop around. And there's so much behind the martial arts. And the philosophies are what really started just sticking in my head, and started asking questions, and just these realizations coming over me. And right about that same time, I was introduced to the work of Jack Canfield, and at that time he was doing a lot of work on self-esteem.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a cassette tape that I had, and I would listen to it over and over and over. Every time I get in the car, I would listen to it over and over and over. And every time I would say to myself, well, you can't do that. In my head, I would say, but Jack says you can do that. So between the martial arts and the philosophies and what I was learning from what Jack was teaching, my coaching that I do today and the books and the speaking that I do, it's all evolved very organically from that part of my life. But not just that part of my life, because it also took what happened in childhood to get me to that part, to get me to where I am today. So I would just like to say that it's not what happens to you that matters. It's what you do with what happens to you. And as long as you cannot forgive yourself for the judgment of self, then you will continue to live in a state of negative emotions, negative feelings, not liking who you see in the mirror, low self-esteem. And we all have the power to step out of that if we just give ourselves permission to do that.
Yeah, that was a brilliant answer, very detailed, and thank you so much for sharing your own story, just glimpses of that, because it's very, very empowering. And the whole conversation today is about raising the vibration, your vibrational energy, so that the low vibration of those negative experiences stop bothering, and you just they don't infuse you with those fumes, I would say, into the who you are right now. So you were talking about the three questions that people should ask themselves, or can ask themselves, once they have the answer. And I totally agree that everybody has their own rhythm and their own process mechanism. For some people it will take longer, it's their longer song, and for some people it will take shorter. But maybe there are there are lots of them out there. What are the most effective that you found for yourself when you are ready and you're saying to yourself, yes, I'm ready to let go of that experience and I'm ready to forgive myself? Is there a specific technique that works for you, or maybe for the clients that you've been working with? Is there, or maybe two of them, maybe, because there's a whole plethora out there.
Well, I believe that it plays a big part in being able and open to take a look at your beliefs. Our beliefs, we don't question our beliefs. Why would we? That's why they're called beliefs, right? We believe what we believe. But when you start to look at what do you believe and where did your beliefs come from, we're taught our known associations, those things that we believe to be true from the time we're brought home from the hospital as infants. So who's teaching us these things? Our parents, our caregivers, the people that are around us the most. And they can only teach us what they were taught. So it's not about holding something against your parents, or, oh, if only my parents had done this, or only my parents had done that, or if I'd had better parents, or if I'd had my neighbor's parents, then my life wouldn't be the way it is. But that's not the way you want to look at it, because when we incarnate into this world, we choose our parents. We say, okay, we're going to go from the light and the source, and we're going to come here and we're going to have these experiences. So in order to have these experiences, you have to choose your parents, the people that you're going to associate with, experiences, and how you move through and let go of these experiences is how you're going to go back to the light. So for anyone who is blaming, which is to say, like, oh, if only I had better parents, or if only my mother would be understanding, or if only my husband would be nicer to me, or if only, we can do that over and over. So it starts with taking a look at what you believe. If you believe that something is being done to you, it will be harder to move through it. When you can start asking yourself, why am I needing this experience? Now, obviously, I'm not saying that I needed to have sexual abuse, this experience of sexual abuse, but when you think about the feeling behind it, how did it make you feel? What were you left with? And it's that feeling of worthlessness, of desperation, when you can hone it down deeper and really take a look at the feelings below it, then you start to understand, oh, this is part of my karma. This is what I want to work through to move out of it. And as you start to release those feelings, you'll stop attracting people, places, and events into your life that will bring those feelings to you so that you can move through it at a faster rate. And it's kind of hard for some people to hear, but one of the things that really holds us back the most are friends and family. And why is that? It's because, well, you know, friends and family tend to think a lot alike, and you have a lot of sameness. And so when you're trying to move through something or rise above, and you have maybe relatives that say, oh, now who do you think you are? You know, you're just little Susie so-and-so. You just don't be getting too uppity. Don't be getting too big for yourself. You know, we knew you when. What can that do? That just makes you go, oh, yeah, okay, maybe I don't have a message to share. Maybe I'm really not a somebody. Maybe I'm not meant to be here to do whatever it is I think I'm meant to do. But we're all here to shine as brilliantly as possible. So if you allow yourself to be curtailed from that, if you allow someone to talk you out of shining, then in fact, see, you are choosing that. So life is all about choices. You can choose to rise above and move through and move out, or you can allow guilt to hold you back. It's like, well, if I go that direction, then my mom's not going to be happy with me, or my sister's going to feel left out, or, you know, Aunt Matilda's going to think that, you know, I'm too big for my britches. And so we keep ourselves small. So that's a long answer to your question about how long does it take, but it takes as long as it takes for us to forgive ourselves and say, oh, all right, I don't need to stay down there anymore. I really can give myself permission to just keep shining and keep rising above this.
Yeah. Well, thank you. And it was kind of combined. I have a tendency to ask like batches of questions. I love it. So one of them was, yes, how long the rhythm, but it's also about a specific maybe technique that you could share if you can. When they already make the decision, yes, we want to let go, because people who are not familiar with the whole coaching and spiritual world, but they still want to let go, they think something needs to happen once you make the decision. So the decision is step number one. Number two, when you are totally ready to let go, what do? Do you write it? Do you, like, what specifically can you do, something that worked for you or the people you worked with? When you
I'm a big believer in journaling, you know, getting it out of your head and onto paper and actually writing it with your hand. There's just something about, you know, using your own hand to write it down versus typing it into a phone or your computer or something. But journaling really helps you just kind of say, get it out of your head and say, oh, wow, I really didn't even realize I was thinking about that. Now, of course, in this day and age of technology, another really great tool is to do a selfie video. Maybe when you're having a really challenging time, if you would just turn on your phone and do a selfie video and say whatever it is that's on your mind, because you know no one's going to hear you but you, and just blurt it out, get it out. I hate this. I'm upset about this. Whatever it is, get it out. And then if you can watch it and really just take a look and say, oh my gosh, where's that coming from? And pay attention to, how does that make you feel? Seriously, I mean, does it make you feel really put off, or does it make you feel vindicated? And really pay attention to what's coming up for you, because these are your own words. This is what you are bringing forth for yourself.
Yeah.
And that's a really powerful tool.
Very powerful, very, very powerful. Thank you so much. I'm so grateful that I hope you guys who are watching and listening, you're getting that selfie video. I can also piggyback on that. I once did when I was releasing, and it was just, all that, everything, all the 40 years of my previous life came out. I have an iPhone. Everybody has a smartphone nowadays. nowadays, right? It was not the video. I was driving and just came through me. So I was recording my voice. I was talking as driving and sobbing and you name it. And I never listened to that again because I didn't feel the need to. But selfie is another thing. I mean, you can, the expression is to kill two birds with one stone. I don't want to kill anyone. So how about jumping over two frogs at the same time or something like that? Because all of you who are afraid of being seen or heard, you can conquer what Nancy just shared with us. If you do the selfie video, number one, you overcome your fear of being seen, although it's only you who's going to be watching you. And second, you release all this negativity and the charge of that experience that you had. It's amazing. Thank you, Nancy. Yeah.
And you know what's interesting, and I of course didn't realize it at the time, but I can remember as a little girl, I would go in my room and do this in front of a mirror. Now, I didn't know that that was a really good tool to use. I just felt like I was talking to someone and I was getting it out, and I just, whatever was on my mind, I was just spewing, really. And of course, then afterwards, I would think, oh my God, God's going to strike me dead and send me straight to hell because I said all these words. But when you start to understand that this is just a way of getting it out of you, and that's what we do when we talk to another person. But if you're not ready to share it with another person, doing the video or talking in the mirror or writing it down in a journal can be very helpful.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Nancy. Before we kind of close it up, because I feel like we can talk for hours and hours and hours, and I'm sure you'll be back with your permission. But could you please share how we can find you and the titles of the books also?
Absolutely. So my website is masteringyourbeliefs.com. And if you go to the services tab, you can look at the books there. The first book was called Chocolate or Vanilla, Life is All About Choices. The second book is Healing the Child Within, Life is All About Choices, and that's about mother-daughter relationships. And then the third book is Divorce, because letting go does not mean giving up. All three of those titles are available on Amazon, and you can get the links through my website as well. Also, I would encourage you, if anything I've said today has sparked something in you and you would like to know more, you can go to my website, and there are several places where you can find a place to get on my calendar and have a 30-minute conversation with me. There's no commitment level there. It's just 30 minutes. Just talk to someone, because I'm here for you. If you really feel that you need to talk to someone and you just want to find out what this whole thing is all about, if spirit is moving you to talk to someone, I'm here for you.
Yeah. Yes. Well, thank you. And you guys can feel, we all can feel that you're so coming from the heart. It's very, very genuine. And thank you so much. So, Nancy, before we close the program for today, what would be the last piece of wisdom in the realm of the topic, like beyond Me Too movement? What would be the closing wisdom words from Nancy today?
If you have a Me Too experience that you have been afraid to bring to the light for whatever reason, and you're sitting on it and you are afraid to talk to someone about it, find someone that you can talk to. You don't have to do what I'm doing and go out there and do videos and speak in front of groups of people. It doesn't have to be that vocal. But I promise you, when you speak up, when you share your experience, when you get it out of here and out of you, it will be like a burden taken off of you. And I remember the first time I spoke up, I was so afraid, and I just didn't know what was going to happen if I speak up. But I stood my ground and I said something the first time, and I realized the ground didn't open up and swallow me. Lightning didn't strike me dead. And I felt stronger. So if you feel that you're ready to share this, if you feel that you're ready to speak up and you want someone to talk to, please find someone that you feel comfortable talking to, because you owe it to yourself to get it out of you and stop letting that weigh you down, because you are so much more than you believe you are. I promise you, you are here to shine your light as brightly as possible, and you deserve to do that in every sense of the way.
And so it is. That's all I can say. And so it is. That was beautiful. Thank you so much. You guys are watching Dream Big with Zhanna, inspiring you to reignite, refire, refuel your life. And my guest today was the amazing, brilliant, and absolutely just a brilliant delightful, but actually lightful, because we don't want to delight anyone. So it's Nancy Mueller. Thank you so much. And watch for the links we're going to share. If you feel inspired to share that video with your friends who might need to hear that at the perfect timing, please by no means do that. And also you can do it on YouTube too. Thank you guys, and we'll see you next time. Nancy, thank you. Thanks.